There comes a moment in every life when the ground begins to shift. It might not be loud, it might not come with sirens or warnings, but it's unmistakable. Something that once felt secure suddenly becomes unstable. A career once flourishing begins to falter. A relationship once solid begins to crack. A body once healthy grows fragile. A future once so clear becomes clouded by confusion. In that moment, the soul feels a tremor, small at first, but undeniable. Things once trusted, plans, people, systems, start to show their limits. And as the shaking continues, a deeper, more pressing question rises. What can I trust that will never fail me? What foundation will still hold when everything else falls apart? That question is not an abstract philosophical inquiry. It's a survival instinct. It's the cry of a soul searching for something real, something lasting, something unshakable. Because when everything around begins to move, what matters most is what you're standing on. In those moments, faith is no longer a luxury. It becomes the only lifeline, not a casual kind of faith. Not the kind that shows up only on good days or speaks in cliches when things go wrong, but a deeper kind, a durable kind, a faith that doesn't flicker in the dark, but becomes brighter in it. A faith not based on moods or emotions, but on something solid, something eternal, unshakable faith. This isn't about religion. It isn't about pretending. It's not about floating on positive thoughts and hoping everything works out. This is about anchoring to something immovable, about finding the kind of strength that doesn't come from within, but flows through you when your own strength runs out. Because there will be moments when it runs out. Every person eventually comes face to face with something bigger than their ability to control it. A loss they didn't expect, a betrayal they didn't see coming, a future that refuses to go according to plan. And when that moment arrives, all the motivational quotes and clever slogans in the world won't be enough. The question becomes real, urgent, unavoidable. What is holding me up right now? And if the answer is unclear, the fear begins to grow. This is why unshakable faith is not optional. It is essential, not just for the bad times, but even for the good ones. Because even in success, if there's no foundation, it can all collapse under its own weight. When peace and progress are built on fragile hopes or external validation, it only takes one strong wind to blow it all away. But imagine another path. Imagine a life where peace isn't dictated by external events, where joy isn't stolen by shifting circumstances, where strength remains even when answers don't come. That kind of life isn't a fantasy. It's the result of faith, real, rooted, resilient faith. Not the kind picked up in desperation, but the kind chosen daily, cultivated intentionally, and proven in the storms. To build unshakable faith is to make a decision that what you believe about the world, about life, about truth is more than opinion. It's conviction. It's the foundation. Foundations don't change when the weather does. In a world filled with instability, where headlines breed anxiety, where expectations constantly shift, where people rise and fall overnight, the call to build unshakable faith has never been more urgent, because without it, we drift. Without it, we chase shadows. Without it, we break under the weight of things we were never meant to carry alone. But with it, everything changes, not because problems disappear, but because fear loses its power. Not because pain becomes painless, but because it no longer defines us. With unshakable faith, setbacks become setups for strength, delays become invitations to trust, and darkness becomes the very place where light breaks through. This is the awakening, the moment where the soul opens its eyes and realizes that faith is not a crutch, it's a cornerstone. That certainty doesn't come from having all the answers, but from knowing where your hope is anchored. That storms don't destroy what is deeply rooted, they reveal it. So if the ground is shaking beneath your feet, take heart. That's not the end, it's the beginning. It's the beginning. The beginning of a deeper foundation, a stronger faith, a clearer purpose. Because when everything that can be shaken is shaken, only one thing remains. What is unshakable? And it's time to build your life on that. Before faith can become unshakable, it must first become clear. A vague belief cannot hold up under real pressure. General optimism cannot withstand the weight of real suffering. Hoping things will just work out may ease anxiety for a moment, but when life cuts deep, only what is rooted in something real will remain. To build unshakable faith, There must be clarity, absolute, non-negotiable clarity on what that faith is built upon. No structure can outlast the weakness of its foundation. No matter how beautiful the design or how advanced the engineering, if the foundation is shallow, the collapse is inevitable. And in the same way, lives that appear successful on the outside, well-spoken, well-connected, well-decorated, can still fall apart if what they're built on shifts with the wind. So ask the question, what am I really building my life on? Not what do I say I believe, but what truly holds me steady when everything else fails. If that answer isn't solid, the foundation is not ready. Some build their faith on feelings, on the emotional highs of good moments, on the security of comfort, on the warmth of approval, but feelings are fleeting. They rise and fall like waves. And when tragedy comes or betrayal strikes, feelings offer no protection. Others build faith on achievement, on performance, recognition, and control. As long as they're winning, they feel invincible, but achievements can be stripped away in a day. A lost job, a failed deal, a missed opportunity, and suddenly the very thing that gave identity is gone. Still others anchor their faith in people, in relationships, mentors, families, leaders, and while people can be powerful sources of love and strength, they are still human. They are fallible. They leave, they fail, they change. No matter how much loyalty is shared, no one can carry the full weight of your life's foundation. So again, the question rises, what is strong enough, steady enough, eternal enough to carry you through every season? High or low, light or dark, seen or unseen? The answer must be something unchanging, something that existed before you and will remain long after you. Something not created by your circumstances, but consistent in every circumstance. That is the only place where faith can truly take root. Truth must be the foundation, absolute, immovable truth. Yeah, not popular opinion, not trend, not cultural agreement, but enduring, timeless truth that remains steady regardless of human perspective. When faith is built on truth, it doesn't waver with headlines or feelings. It doesn't collapse under criticism or uncertainty. It stands because truth doesn't shift. And where there is truth, there can be confidence. Where there is confidence, there can be courage. And where there is courage, there can be peace. But truth demands something in return. Alignment. Cannot build your life on truth while living in contradiction to it. You cannot claim stability while clinging to what is temporary. The foundation must not only be defined, it must be honored. It must be the filter through which every decision, every thought, every action flows. Because unshakable faith doesn't just admire truth, it submits to it. It shapes itself around what is eternal, not what is convenient. This kind of foundation brings clarity. When the foundation is clear, the mind becomes calm. Decisions become simpler. Priorities become sharper. Because you are no longer guessing what matters, you no longer fear the unknown. You trust the known. You no longer chase validation. You stand on conviction. It's not that life becomes easy. It's that you become unmovable. Storms will still come. Questions will still arise, pain will still visit. But when your foundation is deep, the storm cannot reach your core. The world may shout, but it cannot shake what's rooted in truth. So define your foundation. Be ruthless about it. Examine what you've trusted until now. If it's weak, replace it. If it's shifting, rebuild it. If it's unclear, clarify it. Because everything you build from here, your peace, your purpose, your future, depends on the ground beneath your feet. You were not made to live a life that trembles every time the world does. You were made for more. And it begins by planting your life on something that does not move. Define the foundation, and the structure of your faith will never fall. In a world as loud as this one, silence is no longer the absence of sound. It is a deliberate act of war against distraction. Noise is everywhere. It's in the endless scroll of opinions, the manufactured urgency of news cycles, the pressure of comparison, and the relentless demand to respond, perform, and keep up. It's in the subtle messages that say you're not enough, you're too late, you're falling behind. Every notification, every headline, every unspoken expectation contributes to a storm of noise, mental, emotional, spiritual. And the more noise we allow in, the less clarity we retain. The voice of faith doesn't shout, it speaks in stillness. And in the chaos of modern life, stillness is often drowned beneath 1,000 other voices. Not because faith is weak, but because it's buried. To build unshakable faith, there must be a commitment to silence the noise, This isn't about isolation. It's about discernment. It's not a call to disconnect from the world entirely, but to stop letting the world define what is true, what is valuable, and what is possible. The greatest threat to unshakable faith is not always outright lies. It's the constant, subtle erosion of confidence through distractions that dilute truth. Noise makes the soul restless. It fragments focus. It fills the heart with anxiety and doubt, often without us even noticing. That's how it works, slowly, consistently, and visibly. One opinion here, one fear-inducing message there, one comparison too many. Before long, faith that once felt firm begins to feel fragile. Not because the truth changed, but because it was buried beneath the noise. So there must come a moment of rebellion, a moment where you choose to turn it all off, not just externally, but internally. A moment where you say enough. Enough with the endless scrolling, enough with the fear-based content, enough with measuring your worth by someone else's highlight reel. Enough with letting the noise define what you believe is possible. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's strategy. It's strength. It's sacred. In silence, faith breathes again. In silence, truth rises to the surface. In silence, the soul remembers what matters most. But this silence must be chosen, created, fought for. It means protecting your mind like a fortress, being ruthless about what you let in, guarding your inputs with the same vigilance you'd guard a precious treasure. Because that's exactly what your faith is. When your faith is strong, your life is stable, your choices are clearer, your resilience is great, and that means you must defend your faith from anything that chips away at its foundation. That may mean limiting what you watch, what you read, who you listen to. It may mean stepping away from people who stir confusion rather than conviction. It may mean turning off the noise, not out of fear, but out of focus. This is not avoidance. This is alignment. You cannot feed your faith and feed your fears at the same time. One must be starved. One must be silenced. When you create space for silence, the voice of truth becomes louder. The still, steady assurance that you're not alone, that your life has meaning, that there is purpose in the pain and power in your story, that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, there is a deeper peace available. One not based on external calm, but internal conviction. Oh, and that conviction can only grow in stillness. Think of it like this. Even the strongest seed can grow in toxic soil. In the same way, even the strongest potential for faith cannot thrive in an environment of constant distraction, fear, and noise. Silence creates the soil where faith can take root deep, wide, and lasting. And once it does, everything changes. You begin to hear the whispers of wisdom that once got drowned out. You begin to sense direction when before there was only confusion. You begin to feel strength where there used to be fear. Faith is not found in frenzy, it's found in focus, and focus requires silence. So choose the quiet, not just once, but daily. Make space to breathe, to think, to reflect, to align, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Because in the silence, you're not retreating. You're rebuilding. In the silence, you're not falling behind. You're rising above. In the silence, you remember what the world wants you to forget. That faith, when fed and focused, becomes unstoppable. And you, when rooted in that faith, become unshakable. Faith is not proven in ease. It is forged in resistance. Everyone wants strength. Everyone wants confidence. Everyone wants the ability to stand firm when life becomes uncertain. But strength does not appear out of nowhere. It is not inherited. It is not wished into existence. Strength is built, tested, stretched, and refined. And that process, like anything that grows, comes through resistance. Resistance is not your enemy. It is your opportunity. There is a lie that has taken root in modern thinking, that if something is difficult, it must be wrong. That if pain is involved, something is broken. That if faith feels like a battle, you must be failing. But nothing could be further from the truth. Muscles do not grow without resistance. Trees do not develop strong roots without wind. And faith, real, lasting, unshakable faith, does not deepen without pressure. This is where many falter. They confuse struggle with weakness. They assume doubt means defeat. But struggle is not a sign that you lack faith. It's the sign that your faith is alive. What you resist, you grow stronger through. What you endure, you rise above. The pressure you're feeling is not meant to break you. It's meant to build something within you that cannot be built any other way. Look back on your life. When did you grow the most? When were your convictions clarified? When did your purpose sharpen? It wasn't during the easy times. It was during the trials, the setbacks, the heartbreaks, the waiting seasons. Those moments weren't punishments, they were preparation. And yet resistance still feels like a threat until you change your perspective. What if resistance is a gift? What if adversity is the very thing that forces your roots to grow deeper, your faith to grow stronger, your vision to become clearer? What if the pressure you feel is stretching your capacity to carry more, to lead better, to trust more deeply? Unshakable faith is not fragile. It is not afraid of being tested. In fact, testing is how it proves its strength. Just as fire refines gold by burning away impurities, resistance refines faith by removing the shallow, the superficial, and the sentimental, leaving behind only what is pure, solid, and true. Do not be afraid of the fire. Be afraid of living without ever stepping into it, of living a life so safe, so shielded, that your faith never has the chance to grow beyond theory. Pain is a teacher. Resistance is a mirror. It reveals what you truly believe, not what you say you believe, but what you stand on when comfort is stripped away. And that knowledge is power, because once you see the weak spots, you can strengthen them. Once you recognize where your faith falters, you can build it back better, more intentional, more resilient, more real. You cannot avoid resistance if you are going to live with purpose. You will face opposition. You will encounter loss. So what does it look like to walk it daily? It means returning to truth again and again, reading it, speaking it, anchoring in it even when your emotions tell you something else. It means choosing perspective over panic, discipline over impulse, hope over cynicism. It means practicing gratitude when anxiety knocks. It means choosing integrity when no one else will know. It means investing in your soul, not just occasionally, but with the seriousness of someone building a fortress, not a tent. Every small act of faith is a seed. You may not see the harvest immediately, but keep planting. Keep watering, keep walking, because the harvest always comes to those who refuse to stop showing up. Daily walking means treating faith not like an emergency backup plan, but like the operating system of your life. It determines how you process pain, how you handle success, how you respond to people, how you face your future. And when faith becomes your pattern, fear loses its place. This isn't glamorous, it's not always exciting, it's certainly not easy, but it is worth it. Because one day the winds will rise, one day the pressure will come, and when it does, the strength you've built daily will speak loudly. You won't have to scramble to find faith in the storm. You'll already be standing in it. Not because life is easy, but because your foundation is deep. So do not underestimate the power of small daily faithfulness. It's what separates the fragile from the fierce. It's what transforms belief into backbone. It's what turns quiet convictions into loud courage. Unshakable faith is not a moment. It is the result of thousands of hidden decisions, made with resolve, rooted in truth, and walked out in obedience. So take the next step, and then the next one, and the next, because unshakable faith doesn't just believe once, it chooses every single day to walk forward, no matter what. And this world does not need more noise. It does not need more opinions. It does not need more hollow inspiration or fragile hope. What it needs, desperately, urgently, unapologetically, is people who live with unshakable faith in a shaken world. Now is not the time to shrink back. Say to shrink back. Now is not the time to blend in, to apologize for your convictions, or to lower your voice so others feel more comfortable. This is the time to stand. This is the time to live bold, rooted, and loud. Not in volume, but in clarity, in courage, in truth. Unshakable faith was never meant to stay quiet. It was never meant to stay hidden in journals, whispered only in prayers, or confined to the walls of comfort. Unshakable faith is not passive. It moves, it builds, it influences, it changes atmospheres, it confronts lies, it uplifts the broken. It speaks when silence is easier and acts when apathy is safer. Because when you live unshakable faith, it cannot help but ripple. And the world around you, hungry, searching, confused, notices every choice you make in faith is a declaration. That truth still matters. That hope still wins. That conviction is not dead. And that no matter how dark it gets, light still has a place. You may never know how far your courage reaches. You may never see the full impact of your integrity. But faith planted with courage always grows, sometimes quietly, sometimes slowly, but always powerfully. So live it loud. Live in a way that reflects the depth of what you believe. Live in a way that doesn't require a spotlight, because the substance of your life shines without it. Live in a way that your peace becomes your testimony, that your consistency becomes your message, that your joy, your endurance, your unwavering purpose speak louder than any words you could say. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be anchored. Not flawless, but fearless. Not always certain, but always rooted. Always returning to the foundation. Always choosing the next right step, even when the path is unclear. This kind of life is not common. It's not easy, but it is essential. Because unshakable faith is contagious. It invites others to rise. It calls others to examine their own lives. It breathes courage into weary hearts and ignites hope in places where despair once ruled. And here's the truth. You will be challenged. Not everyone will understand your clarity. Not everyone will applaud your conviction. Some will call it stubborn. Some will call it outdated. Some will say it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. But you weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to stand for something greater than applause. Don't compromise your clarity just to gain comfort. Don't dim your light to fit into a world afraid of what it exposes. Stand up. Speak truth. Lead with love. Serve with courage. Refuse to live small when you were born to influence. Unshakable faith is not arrogant. It's not loud for the sake of noise. It's loud because it cannot stay silent. It sees brokenness and brings healing. It sees lies and speaks truth. It sees fear and walks in power. You carry more than you know. You influence more than you see. And the world is watching, not for someone who has it all figured out, but for someone who stands firm when everything around them shakes. That can be you. That must be you, not later. Not when you feel more ready, not when life gets easier. Now, start now. Wherever you are, with whatever you have. You don't need perfection to begin. You need commitment. You don't need a platform to make impact. You need faith that moves. Let your life preach what your lips don't say. Let your actions echo what your heart believes. Let your presence shift the atmosphere, not because of charisma, but because of conviction. This is your moment, not to perform, but to live. To live unshakable, to live aware of truth, anchored in purpose, immune to fear, bold in love, consistent in character. Because the world doesn't just need to hear about unshakable faith, it needs to see it walk, to see it move loud in you.